Yeah, what's good, my gooners, man? What's good, 101? Listen, it's great to have you guys on board. This is 101 Weekly, episode 9. My God, 9 weeks, man. This is some madness. And today, this is all about what happens with the Everton result. And I'm just working on making sure the feed is fine. Yes, the feed is fine. So welcome one and all, and welcome to all of you new subscribers. This is a show that we do every Sunday evening at 8 o'clock. It's picked back to 8:30, and it was last week because the kickoff, for some strange reason, wasn't at 4 o'clock, it was at 4:30. So Sky's doing this new thing where their timing is quite late. So that has forced me to move the show back a half an hour. So it's been 8:30. Don't worry, we'll be well and truly finished before match of the day. I promise you that. Last week we were kind of scratching the bottom of the barrel trying to finish on time. So listen, just want to welcome back to the panel, Bertram. How you doing at the moment?
I am doing well. We won, so obviously it's a happy household. My nephew is a Liverpool fan. He's not an Arsenal fan, so it's good to rub it in when we win.
Oh my God, what a game it was today. And a big shout out to Lisa, my wife. I took her to the game today. She really enjoyed herself. Big shout out to James as well. And listen, man, what a result. Again, James is just on fire at the moment. And a big result. Who else is there in the chat? We've got a lot of people coming into the chat now. And we've got there's 18 in the chat. He says, "What's up?" And yeah, listen, man. Listen, let's talk about it. Anyway, let's talk about it. First of all, what was your reflection of the game itself and the result? Let's get your feedback on the game.
Well, it was a game of two halves. It's very disheartening to start a game in the first minute and a half and give up a goal. But it's also good because at least you have 88 plus minutes to score yourself. So wasn't devastating, but it's a little bit disheartening because you want to start off on a good foot, and we've kept a couple of clean sheets, and you felt that we're going to try to do that today. But it was a game of two halves, basically. I thought first half we played well with a couple of very, very good goals. Not good at the end of the half to give up a goal, and set pieces were a challenge today. We scrambled all day with set pieces. And second half, I thought they played really well, especially down the left side. So Bellerin was struggling playing at the right. I'm not sure if he was communicating well with Mustafi because Calvert-Lewin and also Richardson were open basically at will all day on the right, I should say.
Yeah, and they got
we didn't do much to counter it.
Yeah, they got pace.
Yeah, but I think they should have done something, right? Either roll Ceballos out more to help, or bring Pepe back some more. Pepe was pretty quiet today. Yeah, and he had an assist on the Aubameyang header, but he was pretty quiet. So we didn't adjust our team to compensate from deficiencies that were reflected throughout almost the entire second half. They had a number of chances. And in fact, Calvert-Lewin's chances that he missed was easier to score than to miss, frankly. Now, Leonard did a good job of spreading himself wide, but frankly, you have to put that away if you're a top forward.
Yeah, he did. I mean, it was nice to see the team sheets coming off. Now, I've always said, these managers are going to live and die by their team sheets. And this is the second week in a row where people have looked at Arteta's team sheet and gone, huh? What was that all about? And listen, he delivered on his promise. He's definitely checking everything out. He's doing his homework and he's game planning. I just want to say a few hi to you guys in the chat. Ebony can't join us today. I hope that she could come on. I couldn't wait to hear her thoughts about today. But I think she's finishing work late, so she's saying at this stage of the season she'll take a win by any means necessary. Holly, good to see you, man. Good to see you back in the chat. James is saying he's gutted to concede early on. His heart was in the mouth. Action in the second half. Agreed. And my wife, Lisa, she says, good game. My prediction was 3-1. Surprise the first goal for about the Everton. I think they were still warming up, just not paying attention. And the referee definitely questionable at times. Totally agree, Lisa. And listen, she really enjoyed it. It's been a while since she's been at the Emirates, but she really enjoyed her game. Alex, nice to see you, mate. And good to see that you're happy about today's result. Alex says, what a result today. And the best of all, what a performance by all the players. Yeah, because that is a game we could have easily been buried. We could have easily dropped our heads, walked around with our tail between our legs and just died on that game. James is saying, I know people were calling for a foul on Everton's second goal. I didn't think it was looking back. I have to agree. I was screaming foul, and it looks like Richarlison does get there just slightly before Leno does, and he gets a touch on the ball before I thought he fouled the goalkeeper. But my thoughts about the game was, and actually let me bring Tony in as well. Tony's around. My thoughts about the game was that I think for me, this questioned a lot of tactical awareness that Arteta had. Arteta, for me, looked at the 4-4-2 that they had and the 3-5-2, and I noticed that he did want to keep that tempo up because Everton blocked up the midfield. They had 5 men in the midfield at most times, and they actually switched to as soon as they scored, they switched to a 4-4-1-1. So they were playing a lot of tactical games with Arteta, and he kind of stuck it out. But I was impressed with a lot of the players on there today. I don't think that anybody really struggled. I do think Bellerin still hasn't got back to his form, but I was so impressed with the way how the young kids put themselves about. And when we do the player ratings, we'll go into that in greater detail. But for me, this was, I'll tell you why this was important. Again, I know you guys watch my videos, and I did say that the thing about Arsenal is our record against the top teams is so bad. You know, the top 10 teams, I think it was 1 win in our last 12 matches against teams at the top of the table. So I said to everybody beforehand that this game was a battle of wills for me. It was, if we had lost, we would put our hands up and say, all right, we're not there yet. But if we'd have won, it would have made a statement to the top teams to say, look, we belong in the top half of the table. We belong in that battle for the top 4 and top 5, and we're in it to win it. And the result was indicative of that today. It said to everybody that, look, we can beat one of the better teams. And as I said, Everton had 17 out of their last 24 available points in their last eight games. They're on really good form, and they're a frightening team to deal with. I mean, we saw 1 or 2 occasions where they knocked a ball over to Calvin Lewis, and he just burned through our centre-backs. We just couldn't live with that pace. But we managed to get through, and it's for me, the result makes a statement of a team that is punching. You know, we're now 10 games unbeaten under Arteta, and the wins, 3 wins in our last 4 games. The wins are starting to pile up now, and everyone's talked. Last month, everyone said, "Look, we got to put a run together. We got to put run." This is a run. This is what a run looks like. So really happy with the result, from my opinion today. Ebony, before I go to you, Tony, Ebony says, what's up, guys? Stopped off at my favorite chicken shop and was told that we're 1-0 down after 5 minutes. And she told the Man United fan behind the counter that there's enough time to claw it back. Listen, when that first goal went in, the whole stadium was quiet. My wife looked at me and was like, what just happened? And my jaw had hit the ground. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. James has said, last time we met Everton, both new manager was on the stands watching a 0-0, and they believe now look at the change in both of the teams today. I totally agree. And I said that in my preview. I gave a lot of respect to Ancelotti and what he had done with the team, as well as Arteta had done with the team. Alex is saying, calling for Arsenal to be back in the race for the top 4. It's a bit too far-fetched. I don't think it is, Alex. We're 3 points off 5th. Let me just check that now. Where are we now? We're on 37 points, and Tottenham and Sheffield in 6th and 7th are on 40, and Manchester United in 5th place are on 41 points. So we're 4 points behind 5th place. Very doable. And we still have to play Spurs as well. Chelsea on 44 points. So we're about 7 points behind Chelsea. Look, anything can happen right now. Anything, but we're in it to win it. At least we can have that discussion to say that we're in it to win it. So Tony, welcome, man. Tony,
thank you.
Can
you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Hey, Bertram.
How are you doing, Tony?
What were your thoughts about today's game, Tony?
I was very impressed again. You know, I like what I see in terms of resilience. I like what I see in terms of determination and effort. And once again, I've got to take my hat off to Arteta. He is getting a tune out of some of these guys that I really did not think I could see these kind of performances from players the likes of Xhaka and Mustafi especially.
But see, for me, I always questioned. A lot of people started saying when Emery left, well, what do you expect? We're not good enough. This team, we need a team overhaul. We're not good enough to get to the. And I made about, I'm not lying, 2 or 3 videos just rubbishing that, because I said to everybody, look, this team, 11 games winning streak last year, 22 games unbeaten run, 3rd in the table with 6 games to go, and getting to the final of that doesn't sound like to me a team that isn't decent. We are well above being a decent team, and also after the first 8 games of this season, we were in 3rd place, and then we just capitulated. So that doesn't tell me that we're a bad team. This tells me we're a good team with good players, and if we get the right manager who can get the best out of these guys, we can start punching above our weight. And it looks like now we're punching above our weight. Bertram, you want to add anything into that?
Yeah, I would say, though, it's interesting that the teams that changed managers, so Watford had a pretty good run. They've come back down to earth. We had the same thing with Everton, who are doing really well, changed managers. We had the same thing with Pochettino left Tottenham. They've lost 2 of their key players. But it seems like you get a bump up when you lose your manager. And sometimes it'll level off. So the question for us is, will that be the case? Now we've played, maybe 11 games plus since Arteta joined us. So we seem to be in an upward and not necessarily leveling off. But it's interesting. I'm not sure it's much of the manager or more of the players. It can't be that all these managers were bad. I think it's about the players. And do they feel like, I have to prove myself to the new manager because I may be comfortable in that spot? And
it's
that drives you to play hard.
Bertram. It's a little bit of both, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, under Freddie Ljungberg, what we saw was a change in tactics. There was a lot of games. Well, we were starting to draw a lot of games with Freddie in charge, but Freddie didn't get a reaction out of the players. And Emery's recently gone on a spree to say the players were lazy and they weren't listening. Wenger told him to shut his mouth, which was great to hear. But Arteta has come in, and what he's done is he's raised the bar. Regardless, when you come in as a manager, you have to set expectations. And I don't think that Emery did. I think Emery played to the tune of the players. He was trying to facilitate them first rather than a whole new system and he really took his time. And many times he was walking on eggshells because he didn't want to break the tempo with the team. Freddie just didn't get the reaction out of them. But what Freddie did was he benched a lot of the veterans who weren't pulling their weight, and that's where we saw the likes of Martinelli and Saka. They only started really playing these guys because of Freddie Ljungberg. We have to remember that. And in the team that beat Newcastle, as I said, it was and Olympiakos, Willock, 20 years old, Nketiah, 20 years old, Martinelli, 18 years old, Saka, 18 years old. This is it, guys. The young guys are getting a chance to prove their stuff. And it was great to see Reece Nelson on the bench today because he's going to come in as well. So Pepe knows, or any of them, they know if they start dragging their feet and they don't pull their weight, bang, you're gone, you're on the bench. So I like where we are at the moment. But Arteta is saying, this is where we should be as a team, guys. We're Arsenal Football Club. We should be doing this. And if the players don't adhere to that level, they're not going to play. And it should have been like that a long time ago. Tony?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Apollo. It's definitely good. And what I liked when listening to Mikel Arteta's post-game interview was he's very clinical in what he says. And he explained that, for 65 minutes of this game, I think he's pretty much down to the minute. He saw really good things. But obviously, there's 25 minutes where we were on a back foot. We were second to a lot of the balls. We weren't getting the second balls. And he knows that he can go to them and say, look, great for 65 minutes, but 25 minutes of that game, we need to up our ante and we need to do things to improve so that we can see a game through 90 whole minutes. It's still a work in progress, and I think that's the main thing that we have to remember. There's still a lot of work to be done. Players are catching up. Players are still finding their feet in this system. But match by match, I'm seeing, things that are looking good. I'm seeing, improvements in individual performances. Overall, very much enthusiastic about what I'm seeing.
Good. And listen, let's say hello to our first Jamaican on the podcast. Big shout out to you, Ken. It's nice. The time over there must be pretty nice, and the weather as well. We just came back from there. We were over there last summer. So listen, big up to you, my friend. Good for you to join the chat. Ebony is saying Emery only started playing Ozil again because his back was against the wall. Yeah, because they weren't creating any chances. And as soon as Ozil came back in the team, we started looking like a team that can create again. I think what Arteta's found with this team is the combination of Ceballos and Arteta is making this team fly. They look so good with them two in the team. And really, and I've got to be 100% about this, you've got to build the team around those two. Because as long as you've got the holding midfielders protecting the back four, those two guys will do their job. I mean, Ceballos was my man of the match today, and we're going to come into the player ratings after this. But oh my God, what he's doing to facilitate the connection between the midfield and the forwards is something we haven't had all year. Even last year, we were struggling with that. And Ceballos, just absolute fantastic effort from him. And Ebony also says, in hindsight, Arteta should have come in after Wenger. Yeah, everybody would agree with that. And I think, it was because Arteta wanted to be a part of the process with transfers, and they wanted to go in a different direction with technical director and scouting team and whatever. And in the end, they gave Arteta what he wanted. So he is a part of it. And that's the reason why he's here as a manager. I would have thought with what happened with Emery and Ljungberg, the front office at Arsenal would have never said, yeah, you know what? No, we're not going to do that. We still don't want you to be a part of the process, because Arteta would have just said, all right, I'll wait for Guardiola to leave Man City and I'll take over them. So anyway, listen, guys, thanks everybody to who's joined the stream, and again, a panel again. Let's get to the player ratings, because that's all the juicy stuff that we can talk about. So listen, let's kick off with Leno. And again, guys in the chat, let's hear your marks out of 10 for the players today. Let's see those figures go up and see where we are. Bertram, what would you give Leno?
An 8.
Yeah, and anything to add to Leno? Anything to add?
Look, I thought he could have done better on the second goal. Frankly, I thought he was going to quick off his line, could have gotten there, but he made some fabulous saves. We're under pressure all second half. The goal that I attribute to Calvert-Lewin missing versus Leno saving was a combination of both. He spread himself really wide to get that out. So I thought he was fabulous today. And he showed why we sort of got him, which is a shot stopper, right? Not great at crosses, but great at keeping balls out of the goal. And I thought he was exceptional today.
Yeah. Tony, what would you give Leno?
I'm going to go with a little bit more moderate 7.
Hey, Tony, you gave everybody 10s last week, man.
Yeah, well, don't forget, last week, 4-0. This week, 3-2. So 2 goals in. Did well, but I'm going to go with 7.
Okay, excellent. Right, I'm going to go with 8 out of 10. I had to recheck the replays, because when I was in the stadium, I had to pretty much make everything up as I went along. Both goals came in with poor clearance in. We just didn't get rid of the ball, and they were at close quarters, and there's not much he could have really done about it. I do agree with Bertrand that he probably could have come out better for the second goal, but he was coming off his line consistently in the second half and stopped 2 brilliant chances, one in the 72nd minute and the other to Richarlison in the 88th minute. a crucial stop it was. And that was just him darting off his line, being accountable. So for me, I forgive him for that mistake he made on the second goal, although it was close quarter. I'm surprised the ball even crossed the line, to be honest. But we made it hard on ourselves today. It should have been 3-1 at least. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with an 8 out of 10. So listen, guys, David Luiz.
The other thing I want to say, Apollo, very quickly, is when you have a very commanding goalkeeper, he almost acts like that fifth player in the defensive back four. And for some reason, I don't see Leno being loud enough and being strong enough in that he's marshalling that back four in front of him. So you've got a back four, then you've got your holding players in front of the back four. And it almost needs Jens Lehmann is my my go-to guy. Jens was shouting his head off at the back four. Yeah. And he had great players in front of him. So you kind of go, well, Leno needs to kind of have someone give him that boost and go like, you can demand certain things.
Yeah. And I hope to see that. I have a little bit of a love-hate relationships with goalkeepers because and I was like that with Szczesny. For years I was telling people, look, get off his back because he's a young goalkeeper. And again, Leno's 25 years old. He's 5 years away from his prime as a goalkeeper. Players are 27, 28 in their prime. Goalkeepers are 30 years old in their prime. So what you've spotted out, Tony, is something that he needs to work on in order to excel his game. David De Gea, few goalkeepers actually do excel at everything at a younger age. And he's got that in his locker. For me, just a little bit more temperament is needed. A little bit more coolness under pressure and a little bit more demanding of his defenders in front of him, I would think. And listen, Lehmann would kick the shit out of his defenders if they got it wrong. He didn't care. He would smack them around the head, punch them in the shoulder. He didn't care. And he was just like, well, you do your job and then I won't get on your back. That's how, Seaman wasn't like that. Seaman was a friendly, happy guy. But Lehmann, he wouldn't have it. He wouldn't have it at all. So, good point there. Let's see, most of you guys are giving 7s. James, Ebony and Alex has given Leno a 7 as well. 18's given him an 8. And Arsenal Vlogs, good to see you in the stream. He's given Leno a 7 as well. And overall, I think it really comes down to the expectations. This is a young team. And we're pretty much growing. Vincey, man, what time you call this? Anyway, nice to see you in the chat, Vincey. Yeah. Vincey, we're doing our player ratings, so just give us your grades when you can, yeah? David Luiz, Bertram, you go away. And guys in the chat, let's hear what your views are and your grades for David Luiz.
I gave David a 6. He had a great through pass that Aubameyang would set up the second goal, but I thought he struggled. Some parts in the game weren't that well. I mean, the first clearance was his fault. The ball dropped on his shoulder versus heading the ball out. So I can't give my centre halves more than a 6 when they gave up 2 goals that came through the middle of the field. That makes no sense to me. And I thought David is passing, which is long passing, which is really great at. Didn't do enough of it today. He played okay overall, so I gave him a 6.
Excellent. And Ebony gives him a 6 as well. James has gone with another 7. Vincey's given him a 7, and 18's given him a 7 as well. Boy, that's consistent. That is. Tony, what would you give him?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with this 7 vote on that one for me. Hyped up by that absolutely superb assist. General play. He is the voice of the back four. He is undoubtedly the voice of the back four. Mustafi played but he is still the voice of the back four.
I've gone for a 7 as well. And for me, I think in the first half, he really struggled. He had more problems with the pace. So did Mustafi at times. And I'm not going to knock them down for that because if I was at the stadium watching it, and the runs that those guys were making, Richarlison and Calvin Lewin, they will give any defense trouble. I can see why now that those guys are so productive and why Carlo Ancelotti plays the way he does, to facilitate those two strikers. Nobody plays a 4-4-2 unless you've got two guys up front who can really start doing damage. Look what Bergkamp and Henry used to do. If you've got two guys up there, thunder and lightning, as we say in the NFL, don't we, when it comes to two running backs? One just a darting presence who's maximizing the movement, and another guy is just setting everything up who can score and assist as well, then you've got the perfect package. So I'm not going to dog our guys truly out for that. These two strikers scared the living daylights out of our defense. But I think for me, talking about Luis, the first goal came because of his poor-headed clearance. So that's one thing that I got to pick him up on. But his pass to Aubameyang that split the defense was sublime, and he's been doing that all season. And what I love about the centre-back pairing is now Mustafi has started to do that. So we've got two centre-backs who can play the ball perfectly out to the midfield and the forwards, and that's a good thing. That's a brilliant thing. So listen, so I'm going to give him a 7. I think I'll go with that. And again, Ebony's added in. He's the leader of the pack at the back, but today very lax. Yeah, it was a little bit off in the first half, but very strong in the second half. So guys, let's move towards Mustafi. Mustafi, who I gave last week the man of the match. I couldn't believe it. I nearly punched myself in the jaw. Bertram.
He had a mixed game. I gave him a 6 also, like David. And the rationale is, you're right. There were a lot of balls being picked up by Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin on the right side between him and Bellerin. There was no communication between them as to who marked who. Either we're not pressuring the ball up top to prevent those passes coming over, or we're not dropping deep enough to prevent them from reaching those balls. They got too many balls down in that pocket between those two. A couple times Mustafi was cursing at Bellerin, it appears. Maybe think it's Bellerin's fault, but he's the one there and he's the guy Bellerin also, and he wasn't doing that. Having said that, he's been very aggressive. He's great in the air. He had a lot of balls to defend on his side. I think he did a pretty competent job, so I gave him a 6.
Okay, well, 18's gone for an 8. James has gone for a 7. Ebony's gone for a 5. We haven't had any other grades in. Tony.
Wow.
Mustafi. Tony, you still with
like
us?
he's frozen.
I mean, last week based on... So this week, I'm going to go with an 8. I thought he had a very good game. I think he broke up a lot of play. And I actually did some research since the game. And his figures were phenomenal in terms of his work rate.
Yeah, they always are.
43 passes, 4 ground duels, 4 aerial duels, 1, 7 clearances, 2 interceptions, and 3 tackles, 1. You know,
let me say this though. Let me say this.
That's the MVP that's the MVP performance.
And those stats are wonderful, but there are 5 clear-cut chances created from that side of the field. So either you blame him or Bellerin, or the right midfielder. But there are 5 clear-cut chances. Each chance is created from that side of the field. So it has to be a balanced perspective, which is he had all those great stats. Don't disagree. But whose job it is to prevent those chances from occurring?
Yeah, I mean,
you're absolutely right, Bertram. I was going to say, I was going to wait till we come to judge Bellerin because
okay.
I thought Richarlison to get past Bellerin. We all know that in a one-on-one, Richarlison is going to get the better of Mustafi. The onus really falls on Bellerin to keep pace with a guy like that. You know, if you're gonna look at allocation of placement of players, and you're gonna say I've got a speedy winger, you know, one thing I mustn't let my winger do is get past me and deliver a ball. So I would say the onus is on Bellerin to shut down that source of balls in from a player like Richarlison. But you know, for Mustafi had a solid game, and yeah, occasionally he did get found wanted, which is why his mark's not a 10 or a 9. But I think he was deserving of an 8. Very much a very, very good all-round performance from a guy who a few months ago was just a complete disaster.
Yeah,
in fact, the guy's got so much. he's got so much confidence. He's done to his hair.
Yeah. I agree, and that's what the hairstyle was all about. The hairstyle was about swagger. The hairstyle was, and he made a statement. He came out in the press, and Mustafi said there was a time that I thought that they wanted, Wenger wanted him to leave, and he didn't want to go. Remember when he was supposed to leave on the last day of the transfer market? Emery told him to leave twice. And he stuck around. So he really thought that his career was over with Arsenal. And here we are talking about someone who really just needed to cut out the mental mistakes. He was delivering those stats consistently for years, Mustafi. He's always led the league in clearances. He's always done well with tackles, but it's just the bonehead mistakes that he keeps on making. Aaron's gone for a 9. Wow, a 9 for Mustafi. And listen, guys, Sky gave Mustafi man of the match. BBC gave Aubameyang the man of the match. So it would be good to see how you guys relate to that. Obviously, I'll come to my man of the match, and so will Bertram and Tony as well. But Vincey's gone a 6. My God, Vincey, you're hard to please tonight, Vincey. I've given him an 8. I've gone with Tony. He had a hard time with Calvin Lewin, but I said everybody else will. But the ton of clearances, 7 clearances. I mean, this guy, if you look at the replay, the ball's coming in from set pieces, free kicks. Who gets a foot or a head on it? It's Mustafi. He's always been good at that. He's always delivered at clearances. But for me, he kept up his astonishing passing out of the backfield, which breaks the midfield. He's becoming a real weapon playing the ball out the back there. And guys, I want to ask you all a question now. We saw how dodgy we've been playing the ball out for months under Emery. When you look at Luiz and Mustafi and they playing the ball on the back, you tell me one instance where we've messed up. Hands up high, I can't tell you in weeks when the last time were that they were playing the ball out the back. And actually today, if you look at it, when we were pressed, Leno just played the ball high. He didn't even take a chance. It's almost as if those guys know what they're supposed to be doing when we're talking about playing the ball out from the back now. When the heat is on, we just boot it long. And when they sit off us, Mustafi and David Luiz work their wonders. And all of this is tactics, guys. It's game planning. It's a point where every player now knows their role and what they're supposed to be doing. And Arteta's got these guys singing. And seriously, I said it before. I said if Socrates comes into the team, I'd be surprised. And Mari, in my match preview, I said, how is Mari going to make the team? Because if these guys are doing that, I don't know how he's going to get in the team. So listen, let's move on to Hector Bellerin, man. Boy, this man ain't going to get no love today, Alex is saying Bellerin is clearly not the same player since his ACL. Yes, 100% correct, my brother. James, some players just never recover. Remember when Perez broke his leg? Yeah. Okay. Oh, God, don't talk to me about that, because I was actually going to do a segment today on players who have broken their legs and what it's meant to our results, but I'm going to move that until next week, and it's not going to be a good subject, guys. I'll just give you a clue. It's about 2009. So think about that for next week, everyone. Mustafi, Alex has given him a 7, and let's move on to Bellerin. Okay, Bertram, Bellerin, fire away, man.
A 4, and I'm being generous.
Mirrors.
I thought he was really bad today. The entire game, they flooded the right side. You have to say, well, where was Pepe or where's Mustafi sometime? But the ball was always behind him. And if you're playing in that position, the ball can't be behind you all the time with the speed that he has. So I'd agree with the audience that since his injury, he has not been the same player. He wasn't contributing much offensively, and defensively he was missing. Today I was actually calling for Maitland-Niles, which I'm shocked I was thinking about, because Maitland-Niles, to me, overall, would perform just as well or better than Bellerin has today.
Yeah, I thought Socrates did well there at right back against Olympiakos.
I didn't see the Olympics. I only saw highlights of that game, so I didn't see the entire game. But you talked about keeping the ball in the back and passing from the back. Socrates was part of the problem. He's poor on the ball. Olympiakos game, but that's part of the problem what we encountered previously.
That's right. Yeah.
But I thought Bellerin was either 4 or 5 today, but no higher.
Okay, so 18's gone for a 5. Alex has gone for a 5. Adrian, good to see you in the chat room, Adrian. Adrian's gone for a 5 as well. Vincey has gone for a 5. Aaron's gone for a 5. Wow, this is like Sesame Street, man. Today, kids, the number is 5. Wow. Bellerin's getting no love, man. Now we're talking about the haircut, so he's on some Samson and Delilah scrap. Tony, what do you give Bellerin? Talk to me about Hector Bellerin.
So yeah, I kind of alluded to it just previously. I think, you know, when you got the responsibility for shackling a player like Richarlison, you've got a tough ask, because he's a Brazil international. You don't get in the Brazil team if you're not good and you've got some skill and you've got something about you. So he had a very tough job, and unfortunately, he got found wanting a few times. So, you know, for me, yeah, all those things that people have mentioned, yeah, it's time for a rest for me. Time for bring Maitland-Niles. I don't know what, you know, talking about what we talked about last week, Cedric Soares should be knocking on the door right now, but alas, we bought a sick note.
Good shot.
So yeah, and we're kind of like pushing this guy too much. He needs a rest. So I'm going to give him a 5.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And if you look at the likes of Rob Holding came back, had a disastrous game, and he's been in the under-21s ever since. And until Arteta sees that fluidity and sharpness from him, we're not going to see Rob Holding. And I've said to you guys, you know me already from 101 forums and the player ratings and everything, Rob Holding's my boy, not because I know his agent personally, but because I just think that he's the most talented centre-back that we have. He reminds me of Tony Adams. He's got, when Tony Adams was a 20-year-old, 21-year-old, he had everything that Rob Holding had, and he was a key player in the 11-game winning streak we had under Emery. And when he got injured in that Man United game, everything just fell to pieces. But yeah, I think Bellerin needs a rest. He's definitely not 100%. What struck me today was the psychic part of the game, just the psychological part of the game. When he got scared a couple of times from Calvert-Lewin, he didn't cross the halfway line. He did it again last week. That's why he played poorly last week. And what happens when you're a right back, wing back, and you don't cross the halfway line? What you're doing is you're suffocating your attacking player, and we're talking about Pepe. So everything that Aubameyang and Saka is doing on the left-hand side in terms of the 1-2s, the overlapping, the running off the ball into space, Pepe's not doing that. And we're having to sit here and say, oh, Pepe never had a good game. Pepe's having to do everything he's doing by himself because he's getting no support from Bellerin. So let's not trash Pepe. Last week he had a goal and an assist. Today Pepe had another assist. He's having to do that by himself. But we'll talk about Pepe when we get to him. Let's have some more look at Bellerin. Ebony's gone for a 6. And James agrees. And Aaron agrees. And our friend from Jamaica, he's given him a 5. Nice one, Ken. And I've given him a 5 as well. I've gone for, again, he was average today, really offered support for Pepe down the right and stayed at home in order to cover the penetration because he got drilled in the first half. So it was almost as if he was that lack of confidence, that concern, that worry in the back of his head that he was going to get beaten. It's like what happens, I'll tell you what, you guys know about NFL. It's like what happens when a cornerback gets burned. And then you notice the cornerback is starting to sit 10 yards off the receiver instead of 5 yards off. It's because he's scared of getting beat deep. And today, Bellerin was scared of getting beat deep. That's the best analogy that I could use. So, guys,
I don't understand though, Paulo, because he was getting beat deep all day. So I'm not sure. I think he was in no man's land. Really, he was really no man's land. He was either going forward or coming back. I'll say one thing though, in Bellerin's favor, which is we do play Xhaka as a left back for a lot of the game. People don't seem to realize that. Xhaka rotate over the top for Saka. Yes. Saka plays in a line like Sterling does. But we don't have the same coverage for Bellerin because Ceballos is all over the place. He's in no one set position. So we do have some cover for Saka that allows him to play more of his offensive game, not the same coverage for Bellerin.
And that's by design. Ceballos' job is to facilitate Ozil and be that missing link. So when Ozil can't find space, Ceballos finds it, and the both of them interlink. So yeah, you're right, and it is a really good point because that's stifling Bellerin. The reason why Arteta's allowing him to do what he does, because Bellerin apparently is now, since Walcott left, Bellerin's the fastest player on the team. So even when Walcott was here, Walcott was saying Bellerin's just as fast as he is. So you would expect his recovery speed to deal with all of that. He's just not on form, and whether it's a confidence thing or fitness, I think you do rest him. I love Bellerin, but we're carrying him at the moment. This team is definitely carrying him at the moment. Klasnac, I don't really want to talk too much about Klasnac. I don't know whether we can grade him because he only played 13 minutes before the dislocated shoulder. So let's skip. For everything's sake, let's just skip Klasnac, and then we can talk about Saka. So let's go with Saka, everyone. Let's go with Saka. What would you give Saka marks out of 10? Everyone in the chat, put your numbers up. Bertram, you go ahead, man.
I gave him a 5.5. So he had an assist, but he had a shocker in the second half. I mean, he gave the ball away 3 times in dangerous positions that created pressure on us. Today wasn't his best game. Great assist, changed the momentum of the game when we scored that equalizer. But he had a shocker for a lot of his touches, created clear chances for Everton. So I gave him a 5.5.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that's harsh because you've got some really good points, but I'll get to those points in a second. 18's given him a 6. Adrian's given him a 6. James, where's James? James is giving him a 5. Man, rough. 5 for a man who got his 10th assist. An 18-year-old's got, not really, you can do your thing, man. And
no age in this forum. We all grown-ups. He's in big boy territory.
But listen, Adrian's right on the ball there. Adrian, my grade reflects your remark just there, so we'll come to that after I let Tony go. Aaron's giving him a 6 or 7. Aaron, you're giving guys 2 numbers, man. You're cheating. You're getting away with that. And Vincey gives him a 6. All right, James has gone for a 6.5. Okay, so he's beefed it up a little bit. Ebony's gone for a 6, and Alex has gone for a 6, and he says he was tired. And again, you've made the same point that Adrian has made, and that reflects my grade. So good for you guys spotting that out. And James has gone back down to a 5. So Vincey says, how easy do you guys think playing against his Pacers in the Arsenal midfielder defense? And again, we'll come to that. So listen, Tony, fire away. What would you give Saka? So before you say that, Kayan gives Saka a 6 as well. Right, go on, Tony.
So Saka, actually, we have to again consider this guy is not a natural left back. He's doing a job, and he's doing an absolutely fantastic job doing it. But I have to go with what Bertram said in terms of his some of his mistakes today were very costly, or could have been a lot more costly than they ended up being, because he was giving the ball away and leaving our back 3 exposed to 3 or 4 players running in on goal. But I think
you know it's coming, don't you, Tony? You know it's coming.
He was clearly in need of a rest because Arteta put him on the bench. So he was going to be an impact player towards the end of the game, as opposed to having to come on and work for the whole 80 minutes which he played, or probably 80 minutes when you include the extra time. So I'm gonna give him a 6. His highlight was again the 10th assist, which puts him, as the highest assist-making teenager in the Premier League. His numbers are phenomenal in terms of his production. And when you consider that, you have to bear in mind that he's got a guy in front of him in Aubameyang, who's flying up and down the wing, and Aubameyang's made 1 assist. and this kid's playing from behind.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's
right.
made. Yeah. So the guy in front of me is faster than me. He's bigger than me. He's stronger than me. Yeah. He's the club captain. But listen, I'm doing such a good job that I'm getting the assist. So although he's getting a low mark today because of the mistakes, we still have to continue to praise this kid because he's doing a phenomenal job.
Right. You've hit it bang on the money. And again, big shout out to Adrian and big shout out to Alex in the chat because they've said the same thing that you've said, Tony. Saka gets a 7 for me today. And I'll tell you why. He gets a 7 because he was not supposed to start today's game. The feedback we got in training at London Coney was that he was fatigued and he needed to be rested. You can't play 18-year-olds game in, game out. He'd started the last 4 games, literally playing 3 games a week. He was never supposed to start today. And the second half, when he was giving the ball away, the first thing I said to the fans in my section at the Emirates was, this is the reason why Arteta didn't want to start him. And it's not his fault. Yeah, his legs had gone, started to get a little disorientated in his passing and his vision, and you can't knock the boy for that. When the team sheet was announced, everybody was furious. And it was just like, all right, calm down, everybody. I even said it on the match thread. I said he needs to be rested, so let's hold it down. As soon as he came on, what happened? As soon as he came on, I'll tell you what happened. He provided a ball which through to Pepe, which nearly created a goal. Yeah, so he could have had an assist there. 5 minutes later, what does he do? A perfect pass to Eddie Nketiah for the goal. And it's just almost like as soon as he came on, the game changed. He's so dynamic. And I'm not really worried about the left back position. And I don't actually call him a left back because all of his success is coming from that left wing position. And when Kieran Tierney will get slotted back in at left back, trust me, it will happen. All that Saka's going to have to do is push into the position where Aubameyang's playing, and then Aubameyang's going to be the one who takes the center point, and it will be Nketiah and Lacazette who will be able to play off him. That's the way forward for me. I'm sure Arteta sees it the same way. But for me, it's remarkable that he's able to, as Tony said, have that success on the left-hand side. I said it before, guys, in my midweek video, in the preview, I said Saka is a good defender, but he's an excellent attacking player. There's a big difference. And good defenders, I can deal with that. Kieran Tierney can come in and pick up from where he's left off defensively. And we know Kieran Tierney gets up the field. So I cannot wait to see the dynamic between those two young players. But again, Alex and Adrian were spot on about that. Thanks for that, mate. Kayana said, we're not putting Saka down, only grading the game. It's all fun. We're all gooners. We have each other's back. Yeah, that's true. But what we got to do is we got to make the points behind our reasonings and our ratings as well. And when we make these points, it's a good reason for everyone to see why. Bertram's got some fantastic points, and that gives him and us the understanding why he's made those points, and the same with Tony. So listen, well done for that. But again, another solid game.
My other point is going to be that we make allowances for Saka's youth, his capability. But we're talking, as someone just mentioned, we're just talking about as KS, we're talking about the game, in today's game, how he played. He had a very good start, but it was challenging for the rest of the game. So don't disagree with everyone about where he is in his development. But I didn't think that today was one of his better games.
Yeah, and definitely got a point about that. I totally respect that, guys. Xhaka, yeah, I've had to. Do you know how many videos when I talk about Saka and Xhaka, I call Xhaka Saka, and without realizing it, it's such a tongue twister. You know, Saka, Xhaka, Laka. It's just madness right now. Anyway, listen, let's talk about Xhaka. Bertram, what's your grades? Guys in the chat room, what's your grades for Xhaka?
So I had agreed with Xhaka's response to the crowd when he got booed. Because if my home team is booing me and I'm out there playing, they're not playing, I would be very upset. And mostly I know did the same thing. Hate to be talking patois this forum, but so I didn't get it when we did that. He's been probably our most consistent player apart from Saka since that incident. He hasn't had a bad game since that incident. He's a constant 7. He covers for Saka really well. He gets the pass out from his feet. He plays the ball on the wings really, really well and get our forward line moving forward. He's not making it. He made a stupid foul in the last game.
He always makes a stupid foul. He gets
but today he didn't make any
game.
stupid. I mean, he had a yellow card in last Sunday's game in the first 10 minutes, and played the rest of the 90 minutes without getting another yellow card. So it seems like he's learning. And I thought I can see why Arteta decided to keep him and to boost his confidence and to tell him that he's a key player for him and not let him go back to Germany, because he's played well since. So I gave him a 7, and I think he's been very consistent.
Okay, so we've got KN who's given him an 8. Okay, excellent. 18's given him a 6, and Alex is saying that Ceballos is Ceballos. And Anthony, Tony, you've got his pronunciation down to a T. How do you pronounce? I say Ceballos.
Yeah, it's not Los, it's Yos.
Ceballos.
Because the double L becomes L-Y, like Mallorca. Ceballos.
Ceballos. Okay, all right, I'll remember that. And listen, Saka, Xhaka, Laka, and now Ceballos. You gotta do my head in. It's my birthday this week. I'll be 52. I'm too old for this shit. All right, okay. Thanks for that. And listen, Adrian gives him a 7. But he got tired. Yep. With all that running around with Calvin Lewin and Richarlison behind him, yeah, they busted. They listen. Everyone put a shift in today. James has given him a 7.5. James, stick to that, man. No more switching up the numbers. Stick to that. Ebony's given him a 7. Alex has given him a 7. He says he didn't pass the ball to Xhaka with the goal. Yep. He did. Let's have a look. And what have we got? Aaron's given him a 6.5. Interesting. Vince is giving him a 7.5. So, Tony, talk to me about Xhaka. Okay,
so for the guy that I derided the most this season, because I just felt that he's just so counterproductive to the style of play, I've done a complete 360. He's become, as I said, I alluded to last week, he's become integral to the way we play. You know, the way he slots into that left back channel to cover Saka when he moves up the pitch is just seamless now. For me, he's still not that leader. He's not a fantastic tackler. He's got great range of passing, but he doesn't display it regularly. Yeah. So he's, for a player like that, I think he should get more assists.
Of course.
I think he should be delivering, a little bit more in the passing towards the final third area. However, he's doing a great job to instruction. What Arteta is doing with some of these players is just phenomenal. And Xhaka seems to have profited the most from someone coming in and putting an arm around his shoulder and saying, if you just listen to what I say and do as I say, you will be a good player and people will appreciate what you're doing. And I'm one of them people. I appreciate what he does. So he doesn't do anything spectacular, but he's just a steady Eddie, but he's an integral steady Eddie. And for that, I give him a 7.
Okay, I've gone with a 7 as well, and the reason why I've gone for 7, and I just want to, I just want to cover what you guys are saying, and King and Ebony as well. Ebony's saying tackling wise, he's dreadful. He agrees with Tony, and we all know that when he came to us, he had the most red cards of every player. Arsene Wenger made him a toothless shark. Wenger told him not to go down on the floor in tackles, and it completely nullified his defensive game, in my opinion. But there's something that's come out of this. I don't know whether you guys actually listened to Andy Gray and Richards on Saudi Arabia TV. Arsene Wenger was on there this weekend and last weekend, actually, about the Newcastle 4-0 win. And Arsene Wenger actually said that Mikel Arteta has made a change that he did when Xhaka was in the team. And Mikel Arteta is actually playing him in the role in the way he plays for the national team Switzerland. So have you ever noticed that when he plays for Switzerland, it's completely different to Arsenal? And people say, like when Switzerland are playing internationally, they say the best player on the field was Xhaka. How does that happen? How can he do that at Switzerland and he can't do it at Arsenal? Well, you're starting to see a little bit of that seep into the actual team and the tactics of what he does with Arsenal. But for me, honestly, and I've made it clear, everybody knows where I stand with Xhaka on social media. I don't like the guy. He disrespected the fans. I would never forgive him. But at the same time, if he plays for the club that I love, I have to be fair in his performances. I've given him a 7 as well. He gave the ball away 5 times in the first half, which I thought was really shaky. But he came on in the second half and really improved. And that cover again for Saka, who moves up to up the field, and also helped provide the assist, as Alex said, for the Nketiah goal, which Bukayo Saka set up. So I've gone with a 7 for Xhaka. And here we are. We're going to come up to where things start to get really juicy now. Vince is saying simple football. That's it with Arteta and Xhaka, and totally agree. And it doesn't look. Arteta is a guy who's all about tactics, all about game planning. He would have watched footage for Switzerland. He would have seen what works with Xhaka, and all he's done is implemented that into Arsenal. It's not rocket science, but what it does is it takes someone who is trying to get the best out of his players, regardless how limited they are. And quite a few players on our team are limited. And he's getting the best out of them. He's getting these guys to punch above their weight. And if we can do that, if we had Arteta from the beginning and we could do that, we would have finished in the top 4. Yeah, especially how we started and the season and where we were up to 32 games last season. So before we go on to, should I say, Ceballos? Yeah. Before we go into Ceballos, I'm gonna have to yos my way around his name now. Vince is saying, been calling for this for ages with Xhaka. Just keep the ball simple and slot where you needed. Emery asking him to do too much without structured players around him. Totally agree, and it's the same with Ozil. I'm seeing a different type of Ozil with Ceballos playing around him. But I totally agree with what Tony and Bertram are both saying. When you look at Alex Song had 16 assists from that position playing for Arsenal. Where's the assist for Xhaka? I can't see him. He ain't splitting. He ain't doing what Mustafi and David Luiz is doing with the ball, which is splitting midfields and defenses. He ain't doing that. And yet, some of the guys in the forum tell me every week that Xhaka is a brilliant passer. Well, you know what? I made a video about that, so you could check out my channel, and it's completely rubbish that statistically he is not a great passer. And it shows in his passing accuracy, lack of chances created, and lack of assists. And unless those things are improved, to me, he is not a great passer of the ball. Let's see what Alex is saying. But what happened to the Xhaka? Xhaka haven't you noticed that, Alex? Why hasn't he been shooting on goal lately? Where's the shots? I don't think I've seen Xhaka shoot for weeks. I can't even remember the last time when he had a shot on goal. Very strange. Maybe
he's playing left back. It's hard to shoot from left back.
Yeah, maybe he's got the Ozilitis. We don't see Ozil shoot anymore. Maybe he's caught Ozilitis. Right, guys in the chat, let's hear your marks on Ceballos. And Bertram, you fire away, man.
So I think it's his best game since the Burnley game, which was his first game. I gave him an 8 today. He was in the running for man of the match today. I thought he played really well. He kept the ball ticking, kept moving. What was most impressive there was his defense. He was really putting a tackle, running hard, putting in tackles all over the place, getting himself dirty, which, is an offensive player naturally and not necessarily used to the more rough and tumble game. But I thought his overall game today was spot on. And he probably got taken off because he was probably tired. But he played well overall. And it's his best game since the Burnley game.
Yeah, listen, spot on, my brother. And James is saying Alexson was so underrated. James has given Ceballos. Why, Joe? I'm saying 3 syllables now every time I say his name. This isn't fair, guys. James has given him 9.5 out of 10 man of the match. 18's given him a 9. Adrian's given him a 7.5. Always looking for the ball. Got stuck in a few challenges. Ebony's gone with an 8. Alex has gone with an 8 as well. Kayan's gone with an 8.5. And listen, Tony, let's hear your. Oh, Vincey's gone with an 8 as well. Tony, Ceballos.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in concur with what Bertram just said. You know, since that first game, the Burnley game, this has been one of his best games. He got in and amongst it. His link-up play was what has been missing from our team for so long. The ability to play in somebody straight from the back four who can turn on a sixpence and then deliver straight into the final third to players likes of Pepe, Ozil, and Aubameyang. So yeah, hugely influential today. Definitely, I think he gets a deserved 8 for me.
Yep, and for me, guys, I gave him a 9 out of 10, and he was my man of the match today. I've got 2 words for you: Aaron Ramsey. Now, listen, he started the game with a few airy passes, and that was just because the tempo of the game was so quick. When we went 1-0 down after a minute, everybody was a bit scrappy for a while before they found their feet. But he controlled the pace of the game, and he made crucial tackles to win the ball back in the midfield. And if he's doing that, how can you play Torreira? This is where I got stuck today, because Torreira's a ball winner. He's a beast. He's a Rottweiler. He's a Tasmanian devil, and he gets about and disrupts the midfield. And if Ceballos is doing that, then how can you play Torreira? Arteta knows what he's doing right now. And for me, he just made the tackles he made was crucial, because I don't think we pressed very well today. I thought our pressing was weak. I thought the activity with a few players off the ball was fantastic, like Eddie Nketiah. But I thought the overall package of pressing was poor. And what Ceballos did in the midfield, breaking up those tackles, was brilliant. And he applied the pressure. He was a total package today, because he then went on the offensive end and started feeding the ball out to Ozil and spraying it to the to Pepe on the right and Saka on the left. And it was just brilliant from him. And it's a total package. My man of the match, 9 out of 10 for Ceballos, and brilliant. And Aaron's gone with an 8 as well. And yeah, I think it's a fair consensus from everybody that that he was the man today. Okay, let's talk about the man who divides opinion, Mesut Ozil. And guys in the chat, let's hear your numbers. Throw them up. Bertram.
So I gave effort. You know, my name has changed. I gave effort a 7 today. And the reason I gave him a 7, he's really trying. Now, athletically, he's challenged, right? We know this. And he fouls all the time, especially going for headers. He just pushes the opponent, get him out of the way, and get a free kick the other way.
Better than running away from it.
It is better.
He used to run away from it.
No, I think it always talks about man management, right? I think Arteta's talked to him. He knows his capabilities. We all know he's technically very, very gifted. He doesn't lose the ball, or really ever loses the ball. He put in a foot in today. He tries. And he was good link up between the forwards today and with Ceballos. So I gave him a 7.
Excellent. Guys, we've got 18 that's given him an 8. Ebony's given him a 7. Aaron's, we got Mesut Ozil. He's singing the We Got Mesut Ozil song. Don't you think you understand? Brilliant. Tony. Oh, Vincey with the touchdown throw in the corner of the end zone.
Vincey's too early to start drinking, Vincey. It's too early to start drinking. It's too late, I should say, to start drinking. It's Sunday.
Vincey with the Trae Young 3-pointers from the halfway line right there, man. Vincey gives him a 10. James a 7 on Ozil. Okay. Kayan's giving him an 8. Tony, man, you go ahead. Alex has given him a 7. Go, Tony, man. Go, Tony.
Okay, so Mesut Ozil is, I believe, on his last legs.
Isn't he 31?
Like Bertram said. No, he's on his last legs, bro.
He
cannot play.
He's an old 31.
He can't play. Yeah, he's an old 31. Yeah, look at what this guy did. Up until the age of 25, his statistics are ridiculous. Yeah? He came to Arsenal. You know, and you often mention it. You know, what was it? His first, second season, 12 goals,
And then 18 assists,
16 assists.
nearly breaking Thierry Henry's record with 18 assists.
You know, I mean, that Mesut Ozil just is gone. You're not going to see that ever again. He's the kind of player that you cannot find many players like him. And it's interesting because yesterday I was watching Jack Grealish play, and this kid's he's a wonderful baller. He's a very good baller. He can see a pass, he can see a shot, and I keep looking at him and thinking, is Jack Grealish the answer to Mesut Ozil? He's got work rate. He's got so many things that are good about him. Obviously, he's playing.
Why doesn't anybody put in a bid for Grealish? That was strange. It's
weird.
It is weird. Yeah.
I think Tottenham tried about 2-3 years ago and wanted to pay like just over 20, and they didn't want to take that amount of money. So no one has gone insane, but I think Tottenham did try a couple years ago.
Yeah, go on, Tony.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you know, listen, I'm conflicted with him. I love that he's there. The way he plays brings fluidity to the whole system, and it's worrying when you look at our best games last season under Emery. Ozil was integral to all of that, but his time is up. He's on borrowed legs at the moment, and he's doing great. He's putting in the effort as Arteta is requesting of him. But I just think his time is up now, and come the end of the season, I think it's time to say thank you for your service. Move him on, and bring in, a bona fide superstar to play behind our front 2-3 players.
Yeah, because we could possibly lose both Ozil and Ceballos this summer. So horrible.
Yeah.
So
and we could lose Aubameyang, as well. So
I'm not worried about Aubameyang. We've got Eddie Nketiah. You can laugh. You two can laugh. You two can laugh your heads off. I've been saying, and you guys know on 101, I've been saying this for years. He is the next Dwight York, Andy Cole. I've been saying that for years, and every time I put that guy in a position, he delivers. Every time.
I am not laughing at the fact that you're saying Nketiah is a good player, but you don't have any replacement. I'm not sure replacement apart from the Lewandowski of the world, Holland, for football as a scorer of goals, which is what win you matches, than Aubameyang. And Nketiah has time to develop. He needs time to develop.
He does, and he needs games, and that's why I'm glad that he's taken Lacazette out of the equation, because Lacazette just wasn't doing enough for me. But we'll get on to Nketiah afterwards. Any more grades for Ozil? No, so I can talk about Mesut Ozil. Mesut Ozil is...
I didn't give my grade. I didn't give my grade.
Oh, you didn't give a grade?
I'm just... Yeah. So yeah, I mean, in short, a guy who is at the end of the road, in my opinion, but still does good things in the game and is integral to the flow of the game. He's got a very cherished, because he's allowed freedom to roam across, back and forth, which no other player is given the same kind of luxury. I'll give him a 7.
Okay.
But it's borrowed time.
Okay, right. So you guys know I'm a big Mesut Ozil fan. And for me, I think that what's happening now with Arteta is, I said this previously earlier on in the stream, he's building a team around Ceballos and Ozil, and look at the results. The results are amazing. We have two players who can control the ball on both scales of the side. When we the biggest problem Emery had was we didn't have that link between the defense and the midfield, and we didn't have that link between the midfield and attackers. And these two guys here are getting it done every game. And it's a hard place to be, because as 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 someone who played at the Watford Academy, I know it's impossible to provide that level of consistency every game. You can't do it. It's impossible to ask. What Liverpool are doing now, winning every game, winning. This isn't going to happen for a millennia, guys. It's not going to happen for another century. It's impossible for a team to keep winning at that level every single game. And we saw Liverpool lose last week, just to show you how difficult it really is. So I do agree that he should be doing more. But for Ozil today, I give him a 7.5 out of 10. And I'll mention things that I saw while I was at the stadium, because I keep a good eye on him, because he does things which a lot of people don't. Bertram, I had a conversation with you about Ozil when we met at Liverpool Street last year, remember? When I was talking to you about how they train the German players to play their gaps rather than run into tackles. We saw a lot of that today from him. He cut out a lot of passing lanes, which meant that the ball had to go backwards because he was cutting off the supply to the forwards. We also have to give Ozil respect because he took Fabian Delph completely out of the game. And again, with his gaps, spraying the ball around on the pitch with superb accuracy. He had 94% passing accuracy today, when a few of his other supporting players were giving the ball away ridiculously. He didn't. And he was crucial. It was getting Arsenal up the pitch at pace, at speed. You know, the times where we talk about we need to move the ball faster, we need to get the ball up faster. He's imperative to that type of style. So I give him a 7.5 today. I thought he played really well. I would have gone for an 8, but again, I probably would have seen a little bit more impact on that. And I didn't really kind of see that. So for me, a strong 7.5. So let's talk about Pepe. Guys, in the chat.
Before we touch Pepe, I want to say one thing, which is on the Ozil situation, which is in the first 25 minutes, he was being man-marked by Delph. And he switched to the right and went out on the wing and got a lot of his balls there and then drifted back into the game. And Delph didn't follow instruction by, you know what, when he comes back in the middle, it's my job to man-mark him. If you watch the first part of the game, and if you go over the game, you'll see that he got man-marked, and he's very ineffective when he gets man-marked.
Yeah. But you know what happened after that? And this was around 20 minutes. Klasnak went down after 16 minutes, and that stopped the game for 4.5 minutes. And Ozil was one of the players who walked over to Arteta, and Arteta gave him instructions to change what he was doing, as well as Ceballos and a few other players. And it was that facilitated the change that you were talking about. And that's down to Arteta's management style. And it's also down to Ozil listening, which is something they didn't do under Emery. So yeah, I totally agree with that. But all of these things is fine lines, very fine lines with the tactical part of the game. I think this is the best tactics we've ever seen at the club in decades. And remember, Wenger wasn't really a tactical man. He allowed the players freedom to go out there and express themselves. What Arteta is doing, I haven't seen at the club in a very long time. And he's not even halfway there yet. And as I said in my game preview, let's remember, guys, Arteta's been here 2 months. 2 months. And this is what we're seeing. Okay, listen, Bertram, Pepe, fire away, man.
So I gave Pepe a 6, actually. I thought he had a pretty quiet game. He had a 1 assist, a Batman header. But if you make a 90-year-old fullback mark you up the game, it's concerning, actually. Baines has been, the tooth is long now. So I'm not sure why you have a Baines holding you down most of the game. Now, they did bring help to help him sometimes. We one of the left midfielders, but I thought he was pretty quiet. Maybe it's the support from Bellerin. Maybe we were playing more on the left as we normally do with Saka and Aubameyang. But I thought he had a pretty quiet game, actually.
Yeah, and remember, as I said, it's the lack of support from Bellerin. Yeah. And I stated to you earlier on in the stream that Pepe's had to do everything by himself. When he gets the ball, he literally has 2 or 3 of the opponents in front of him, and no support, no overlap, no through ball, no nothing. And he's got what? 2 assists and a goal in his last 2 games. And that's just him. And what frustrates me is I say to you guys, I'm a big Theo Walcott fan, where he just makes those runs behind the centre backs and gets that ball delivered through to space. He's got no one to deliver him that ball, so he's not making the runs. And what frustrated me also is they play a high line and he just knock the ball forward and outrun the guy. But guess what? The one time he did that today, he created an assist. The one time he looked at the defender and said, all right, you know what? I'm going to knock the ball 20 yards. Let's see who gets there first. I've been saying to my wife in the stands, why doesn't he do that? He's got the ability, the speed, the pace. And then what does he do? He knocks it forward, completely burns the left back, and then delivers in a cross. And we know when it comes to crossing the ball and set pieces, corners, free kicks, we know there's no player on the team like Pepe. Maybe Saka. Yeah. But listen, that is something that he's having to deal with. He's getting these statistics, he's building up. That's eight assists now and 6 goals for Pepe, and he's having to do it all by himself. So listen, what have we got for Pepe? We got Ebony as an 8, James is an 8, Alex as a 6, Adrian's gone with a 6 as well, Vincey 7, nice. Vincey with 7. And Ebony, who's given him an 8, says when he has a lack of support from Bellerin, we have to give Pepe props for doing it on his own, which is exactly what I just said. Solid point. And listen, Tony, fire away on Pepe.
Bruv, you said it all, bro. You said it all. You have taken every word I wanted to say about Pepe.
Sorry, I should have.
I can't say it any better, Apollo, because he is constantly double team, triple teams. Teams have worked him out, but yet still he works a way to find an assist. He never has a one-on-one. It just doesn't happen. Teams recognize his danger and we're going to double him. But he finds a way. Again, another assist. So, yeah, I'm giving him an 8.
Yeah, and listen, this is going out to Jay Spitfire Haywood. I know you're listening out there. This is going out to my main man, Jay, who's not really been feeling Pepe this year. Look, I told you, look at what Arteta did with De Bruyne. Look at what he did with Sane. Look at what he did with Raheem Sterling. Raheem Sterling even came out on his own Instagram and said the improvements to my game was made from Mikel Arteta. He did not mention Pep Guardiola at all. And when you see how he's been able to make him flourish, this is a very raw Pepe that you're seeing at the moment. This is a Pepe that is tactically not really aware of the abilities and the skills that he actually possesses. And we will see a much better version of Pepe moving forward. We've got Sammy, who says, looks like he's rotating between Nketiah, Laka, and Pepe and Martinelli. Just hope that there's more consistency moving forward. Yeah, he is, and that's because he wants to play his best teams. He wants to win the Europa. He wants to get 5th or 4th place, and he wants to win the FA Cup. So everyone's getting a fair share of it. Sammy, what I will say to you in regards to that statement is, look out for Reece Nelson. Reece Nelson is not done. He was on the bench today, so he's recovered from his hamstring injury. Look forward for him to get a chance, maybe at home against Olympiakos. I don't know. But he's in the mix as well. And you're talking about a player who works very, very hard in training. Arteta has so much things to say about him. Arteta has said he could be as good as Raheem Sterling. It's really down to the amount of work that Reece Nelson puts in. So we'll see what happens with that. KN gives Pepe a 7. And Alex is saying, and that's what's frustrating, Apollo, just knock it forward, cross the ball. Instead, he tries nutmeg. Yeah, and look, we all agree here. When I don't like when Pepe gets the ball and then he does that little shimmy and then does the wobbly knees. I hate that, because what it does is when we talk about attacking and moving the ball quickly and putting the defense on the back foot. Yeah, when you're backpedaling, you're not aware of what's going on around you. You're not aware of who's going in behind you, because you're not even in your gaps. So you're stretched all over the field. And when we get a defense like that, that's when we got to hit them hard and fast. Instead, he sits back and he does all this nice little shake and bake. And I don't want to see that. I want him to get the ball, give and go, and make his movements just like Walcott did. Listen, he's a better player than Theo Walcott. But Theo Walcott was trained by Thierry Henry at London Coney in terms of how to time his runs and how to create one-on-one situations for himself. That's why Walcott had over 100 goals for Arsenal. That's how he scored 20 goals a season at Arsenal. You know, not every season, but he had seasons where he scored 20 goals, 21, 19, and that's Theo was a threat. And if you speak to the defenders about marking Walcott, they hated it because they just couldn't keep up with him. They didn't know when he was going to blindside them. And for me, Pepe needs to add that to his arsenal. He doesn't have that yet. He's got Walcott had no first touch at all. But what he was good at, he was great at. And Pepe's got everything in his locker. When Arteta starts to train this guy and coach him and is able to get the best out of him, Pepe's going to be lights out, man. And some of you all out there already know it. Carlito gives him a 7, as well as Sammy. Adrian saying he'd like to see him shoot more. Agreed. You know, Pepe's got this frustrating thing about him, like Abu Diaby. He's so one-footed, it is unbelievable. If he could learn to shoot with his right foot again, he would be a different type of player. But that's Martinelli. Gabriele Martinelli, 2-footed player, can shoot with either ball. Arteta was like that. I watched some of the goals that Arteta scored for Arsenal and Everton today, and boy, Arteta could lick 30 yards into the top corner of the net with his left or his right foot. But, you know, these guys are young, man. They still got to learn.
I think Arteta didn't make a pass over 5 yards, but maybe I was watching the wrong Arteta.
Oh, Arteta had it all, man.
Yeah,
Arteta,
all these 2-yard passes. Used to frustrate the heck out of me.
It did, but he was great at looking after. I always said before, and I'll say it now, Arteta's the last best captain that we've had at the club. We haven't had a captain since Arteta who was truly a leader. And I still say that today. And I still refer to the Man City game where Wenger used to let them bomb forward and get hit on the counter-attack. And Arteta called a meeting with Per Mertesacker and the rest of the team. And he said, we need to stop this. And this is what we're going to do. He managed that whole game. And we went up to the Etihad and won 2-0. I remember it was Giroud who scored. I can't remember. I think Cazorla was the other scorer. It was brilliant. And that was when Arsenal fans were like, huh? What happened there? That shocked everybody. Even
well, we had the maestro in the middle. We had Cazorla in the middle, who doesn't ever lose the ball. So
I remember Alan Shearer saying, "I would have bet." He said, "I never saw that coming," and it was just that showed you the leadership skills and abilities of Mikel Arteta. Sammy saying, "If people don't double on Pepe, we really need to get better player than Ozil to take advantage of that." I think they're doing well at the moment, guys. This is 7 goals in the last 2 league games. I think we're doing all right at the moment. I think we found that formula with Ceballos and Ozil that we've been looking for all season. Carlito says Nico will come good, mark my words. Lots of comments here about Pepe. Nelson needs strength in a job. I think Nelson's got a good torso, I mean. I think he's got a really good build. I think he's got as good a build as Iwobi did. And how about Alex Iwobi today as well, with all those passes intercepted, 4 in the first half. He was really making it difficult for us to move the ball in the midfield.
He still doesn't know where the goal is, though.
No, he doesn't. He had 2 shots that went way over the bar.
He cannot find the goal. It's an elusive target.
Yeah, true. Before I go, Ebony says Pepe Shimi needs to be given a push. It's annoying. I totally agree. Let me give my grade. Pepe was 8 out of 10. And Tony said, I pretty much said everything I needed to say about Pepe. Comes alive when you least expect it. He was out of the game, and he just blew past that right back. Started to do what I've been saying for a while. Again, it's 6 goals and 8 assists this season for Pepe, and he's only getting started. It's only going to get better from there. And I'm all about stats. For me, I don't care. I don't care for the likes of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I didn't like him as a player. I thought he had 0 vision. I didn't care whether he had a great shot and he'd dribble past a player. He didn't know how to do anything outside of that. And yeah, you can talk about him being a central midfielder instead of a winger. As far as I'm concerned, I wasn't. I'm all about production, stats. That's what wins games. If you create chances, you provide assists, you score goals, that's what makes a difference to a team winning. Not going past a player and not knowing what to do with the ball outside of that. So we're going to go on to Aubameyang next. But let's go back.
If the criteria is scoring goals, creating assists, creating havoc, that I can't see how Aubameyang is not. In fact, I think this is Aubameyang's best game of the season, actually. Now, if you watch the first goal, that's how you set up a defender. He first went inside, he then went outside, and not to create the offside. And he's the commentators are criticizing Sidibe, but he set him up so well, and the pass was so perfect, he had no chance. He worked hard all game. He didn't turn the ball over a lot. He scored 2 very good goals. They weren't necessarily easy goals. It's hard to see how we're comparing him, Ceballos, Pepe, Leno, almost with similar grades, because I thought the 2 goals were exceptional. And I also thought he played well overall game. And we also say Aubameyang doesn't create assists. He almost playing like an inside forward. So most of the time, Saka goes wide and he comes inside. That's why he scores so many goals. If you think about him, and he's playing out of position. So we talk about Saka out of position and other players out of position. He's out of position for the entire season and still getting us the goals.
Yeah, he's not out of position. I think it was Nabil on 101 forums this week stated that when he plays for Borussia Dortmund, he was a left attacking player, just like Thierry Henry was.
But he was more inside, though. We're talking about him playing on the wing because he never defended that much at Dortmund.
No, it was.
I can't remember him running back all game. That takes a lot of energy out of you.
I believe it was Lewandowski who was their main striker, and Aubameyang was on the left. Yeah, it was. He definitely plays as a left side.
But he played through the middle where Lewandowski left.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And then Mkhitaryan used to rotate, didn't he, over to the right and the left-hand side. But yeah,
I gave him a 9, and I gave him man of the match, actually.
Okay, good. Guys, wow, Ebony, 10. Jesus Christ, Ebony just set the forum on fire. And James with a 9. Jeez. Forums are live now, guys. 18's given, that's Pepe. He's given Pepe an 8. Aubameyang from Alex has got an 8.5. Loved he's running back to defend and of course doing what he's paid to do, score. And also in regards to what he's paid to do is because he's the captain. I've noticed ever since he's worn the armband, he's putting in an extra shift. Vincey, man. Oh my God. Everybody look at Vincey's comment.
So the liquor has kicked in fully.
Vincey, they're on the rum tonight. They're on the rum. Hey, listen, that was Tony last week, you know. That was Tony. Tony was all about 10s. I even think he gave one player an 11. I can't actually remember it myself. Kayan's gone for 9 as well. That's Kayan's gone for 9. Adrian's gone for 9. Alex is putting his foot down saying nobody gets a 10, man. Alex is not having it at all. And I very rarely give players a 10, as you guys know. Kalito's gone for an 8.5. Tony, over to you. What would you give Aubameyang?
Well, Aubameyang. Let's just give it a good 9. Let's give him a 9. 2 great, outstanding goals. Some great striker movement to create the space for himself. The tracking back was awesome, and especially in the last 10 minutes when we were under the cosh, and you could see that Saka had lost the legs. He wasn't able to get up and down. He was struggling. Laka came back and just helped out, and give him a 9. Good game for Laka.
Excellent. Sammy saying Uber is a 10, scored winning goal, defended, and ran his socks off all day. What else do you need for a 10? Yeah, a little bit more creativity possibly, but I'm not going to argue with it. Remember, guys, this is all our opinion, and all opinions are subjected and respected, especially on the one-on-one forums. So if you guys are not a member of One-on-One, the link is in the description below in my videos. Come and join us. 4,000 of us, massive family. Let us know what your feelings are about the club that we love, and we don't discriminate. Everybody gets their say, and it's the same on here as well. So I respect that. People are giving them a 10. I don't think I've ever given a 10 before in my life. I might have to go back and check those figures. I'm sure I might have squeezed one out over the years, but definitely for me, I've given Aubameyang an 8.5 because he was really slow in the first half, and but his movement was fantastic. I really loved the way he ran onto the David Luiz pass, and that's what happens. Everton had to learn from their mistakes. Carlo Ancelotti played a high line, and we punished him for it. And that's what happens if you play a high line against Aubameyang. He will do that all day long. It was like a bee to a honey. Yeah, it was like taking candy from a baby to see what he did. It was tremendous movement, and that's what you got to say. Even for the goal, he's coming from that attacking left position, coming to the 6-yard line. He knows Pepe is going to deliver the crosses, just like we know Saka's going to deliver crosses. And it's that expectation and anticipation that a striker needs in order for him to be the player that he is. JK says, but Uber is all about movement, and that's what makes a striker quality and a goal machine. Correct. Ebony, for all of his defensive and scoring duties, he gets top mark. Okay, so some of you are actually going with Aubameyang as man of the match there. And so that's pretty cool. Let's hear your thoughts now on Eddie Nketiah. Now, this is going to be really interesting. Eddie Nketiah, Bertram.
So when I do my grading, I first grade the player based on what I see and do a comparison between all the players of the team. So I couldn't give Pepe the same grade as Nketiah. That's why I gave Pepe a 6. Nketiah to me, there was an 8. He worked as hard as Ceballos on the team. His movement was very, very good. He's a good holder player. Now you can understand why Arteta plays him instead of Aubameyang, instead of Lacazette, because he's actually quicker. He's much more mobile, much more athletic. His goal was a very good goal. His movement was great. It was right between Mena and Holgate in terms of when he scored. And he placed it in the far corner. Exquisite goal. Great movement. I gave him an 8 today.
Wow.
Because I thought Aubameyang was just a little bit better in terms of scoring too and his contribution defensively. But Nketiah played well and worked really, really hard the entire game.
Wow.
And when you leave your forward on the field, when your forward plays the entire game and you remove other players, it tells you something about how well you're playing. Because the center forward is the first person you change most time, or a winger.
Exactly. And he's given Arteta everything Arteta is asking for in a center forward. And remember, we're talking about the anchor man, the point position, the position we call the point. And he's given him everything. Could you imagine what he must be seeing from Nketiah in training? Think about it. Think about that just for a second. Everybody in the chat, think about that for a second. This is a guy who they got back on loan and they said, oh, we've got to find out which team we can send him to in order to see, what he can do. After 5 days of training, Arteta was like, nah, he's staying here. He ain't going nowhere. This brother right here, Eddie, is staying at Arsenal because whatever he saw in those training sessions, made his mind up. I don't want to talk anymore because Tony said I said everything I needed to say about his grades. But I just want to say Adrian's given him a 7. 18's given him an 8. James has gone for an 8 as well. Ebony, have you got a grade for him? Did Ebony grade him? I can't see a grade for Nketiah. Ebony says, I still prefer him in the middle as opposed to being on the wing. She's probably talking about... I think
she's talking about Abba, though.
Yeah, I think she's talking about Aubameyang there. Eddie, that's the Eddie Murphy. What have you done for me lately? Vincey's gone for a 7. Carleto's gone. He's called me Apollo Creed. People used to say that at school. Nketiah gets an 8 from me, but he cannot replace Aubameyang. I agree, and that's why I said when Kieran Tierney comes back into the team, look for Saka to take his natural position on the left and move Aubameyang into the middle. That's how it's going to work. Arteta's not a fool. He ain't going to do that. Adrian has said he felt Eddie dropped off physically. Yeah, because Eddie ran his socks off. He completely ran his heart out. We've got a 7 from JK. Kyan's given him a 7 as well. Oh, Ebony's given him a 9. Love you, girl. Love you. Tony, Nketiah, fire away, man.
Eddie. So yeah, Eddie had a good game. It was great to see him score that goal. He the way he angled his foot to just divert it into the corner, it was Henry-esque. It was Henry-esque. It was just a thing of beauty. You go across the player, You find yourself in a position, then you open up your body and you just let that ball tap the inside of your instep and divert it into the corner. It was just a thing of beauty. Apart from that, the work rate was phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Bang on.
And, you know, you alluded to it earlier again. I'm going to go with about running channels and breaking up lanes. You know, he does so much of that. You know, you see his movement makes the defense have problems getting out of their third, because he's breaking down. He's putting himself in a position to make a pass very easy.
Yeah.
So his work rate was phenomenal. His positioning, I thought, was excellent. He's going to get a 9 from me.
Yeah, brilliant. Have we got any other scores coming? No, we haven't. Okay, so I've gone with an 8.5 out of 10. And I'm so happy he got the start again today. I was a little worried and concerned that they were going to drop him because Lacazette had scored 2 back-to-back goals. But I'm hoping that they're keeping Lacazette fresh for Olympiakos this week Thursday. And this week Thursday on my birthday, I'll be there with my sister and my niece checking out Arsenal going into the quarterfinals, the last 8. But I'm just so happy, and it tells me that Arteta trusts him. He's now scored, he scored a goal now, which he had to get off, but he's also hit the woodwork in the last 2 games, guys. He hit the bar today, and remember, he hit the bar last week when Pepe came in on the inside and delivered it there. So we're talking about movement, guys, and we're talking about what a striker does. And I'm saying, and I'm promising you this, yeah, I'm making you guys this a promise, so you can beat me up on it if it doesn't work out. He's going to be the next Andy Cole and Dwight York. He really is. I see everything from this guy that I saw in a young Andy Cole. I really do. He's got everything. And the one thing today that people have to talk about is his constant pressing the midfield to win the ball back, and the pressing against the goalkeeper, it didn't stop. Even at the end of the game, when everyone was tired and Guendouzi came in and helped him. Guendouzi and Nketiah was pressing the goalkeeper hard. How many times did he nearly block the goalkeeper's goal kick shot? 3 or 4 times?
Quick question.
Yeah?
Quick question. Why couldn't he get out Patrick Bamford at Leeds?
Leeds is a different commodity, and they run a different system at Leeds. Remember, Leeds is man-to-man. They don't play so much as far as a formation system. So it's a very difficult thing to do. In terms of a tempo game, I think that's the reason why he's more suited for this, because the 6 months he had at Leeds, he learnt that high-intensity tempo press from when he was at Leeds. Because trust me, when you're playing man-to-man, teams don't really play man-to-man. We know how hard it is to play against them, because when Leeds came to the Emirates, they played us off the park in the first half. We couldn't handle it. And it was a good lesson for Arteta to deal with that type of tactical change. But it's a different system, so I can't really comply the two. But I can tell you now, the reason why Nketiah was able to perform today the way he did is because of what he's learnt from Leeds. He was just non-stop, high energy. He's doing those things in a matter of an improvement to Lacazette. Lacazette isn't pressing the way that Nketiah is. And we can see that now. And the added run, Tony talks about the run that he made in for the goal. Did you see how far he ran back from? If you look at the 12-yard sprint into the goal, he just came in from nowhere. They didn't even know that he was there. The defenders only saw Saka running through the chain. They had no idea that he was coming in from the back end. And it was brilliantly done. And he will do that for you time and time and time and time again. Lacazette doesn't run the channels on the 6-yard line like Nketiah does. Lacazette doesn't point on the floor to say where he wants the ball like Nketiah does. Nketiah is 20 years old and his ceiling is so high. And if Aubameyang leaves in the summer, I think we give this guy a chance. So, guys, we've got Vincey saying, good shout on Eddie Apollo. Yes, thank you very much. Carlito, Nketiah is more of a poacher. And yeah, again, Andy Cole, Dwight York. That's sometimes you are what you are, And if you can be the best at that, then that's all we need. Yeah, because we've got all the talent around him. We've got the two wingers in Saka and Pepe who can provide assists. They'll get balls into you all day long. If people talk about Aubameyang leaving. Look, Nketiah would get 20 goals, maybe even more, if he was starting every game and he had those two pinging in the balls and Ceballos and Ozil behind him. It's a recipe for success, guys. Listen, that is, we need to grade Arteta, obviously. I'm not going to do the subs. I thought the subs did really well when they came on, especially Guendouzi applying the pressure. But let's talk about Arteta. Bertram, and the guys in the chat, what would you give Arteta as your marks out of 10? Go on, Bertram.
I gave him a 7.5. We won, so that's the most important thing. He has set the team up really well structurally in terms of how we go forward and how we come back. We don't get beaten on the break as much as we used to in the past. We used to turn the ball over upfield and it's all hell break loose, trying to recover and prevent the opponent from scoring. I thought he could have did a better job of helping Bellerin and Pepe and Mustafi on the right in terms of how we position them. Just like you mentioned how we did with Ozil in terms of getting him out the middle when he was being man-marked by Delph and put him on the wing. He could have done a better job in terms of how he positioned them, prevent those balls through the channel, and us not picking them up. Because they created so many chances from Bellerin side of the field, and they could have won the game based on those chances, actually. But I think overall, we're playing well since he's been here. I am not the same with the euphoria about it's a revolution. We have made all these changes. I think there's work to be done still. And by the way, you made it mention that Olding is our best defender. I think Saliba is. I just want to put that point in before.
Yeah,
I think Saliba, based on what I've seen on video, is our best defender. Or potentially our best defender.
He ain't played the game for Arsenal yet, but I listen. Listen, I'm right there with you. When he comes in, he's gonna cause havoc in the Premiership. Strikers are not going to like. He is physical,
big, strong, young, energetic.
Listen, do you guys remember?
Yeah.
Do you guys remember? Even the guys in the chat. Do you remember a guy called Christopher Samba? Yeah, Chris Samba, who I think he used to
Blackburn.
Yeah, Blackburn.
Bolton.
Oh my God.
Bolton.
That guy was a beast.
Yeah.
He used to bully. He was the second coming of Sol Campbell. When we lost Sol Campbell, I wanted Wenger to so much buy Christopher Samba. I think he went and played in China or some crazy club.
I think he was in the Russian league. He was out at one point, and he's moved around a bit. But yes, now he's big, strong.
He was an immovable object, and he was just a beast. And listen, Saliba is like that. Saliba reminds me of LeBron James. He's just a man-child. He just bullies people. He's just bigger and stronger than you, and he is not afraid to let you know about it. And I feel sorry for that for them Premiership strikers next season, because he's gonna smack them up. You know, he really would. Let's go in the chat. James is giving Arteta an 8. What have we got here? JK is giving him a 7.5. 18's giving him an 8. Also need to do better at set pieces. Yeah, I think we have improved on set pieces. I think the 5 clean sheets in our last 9 games shows that we have done better at set pieces. I don't know what happened today. I think today was an anomaly. I don't think we'll see a lot of teams score 2 goals against us, because I think we're really well set up defensively, and I think we were up against 2 quality class strikers today. Carletto's given Arteta a 9, and the subs were bang on. Agreed, big time. Kayan says, nah, coach, 10. Okay, Arteta gets a 10. And yeah, he had to work his way out of that. I think a 10 is definitely favourable for Arteta today. Ebony says Nketiah has 9 for pass, and the fact that Arteta decided to keep him at the club goes to show he knows what he's doing. If that was Wenger or Emery, Eddie would be gone on loan if that was Wenger or Emery. There's no doubt about that. If we got any more grades for Arteta, yes, we have. Ebony with an 8, Vincey with a 7. And JK saying under Emery, we were good at defending set pieces. Yeah, we did. That's why, listen, you don't go in a 22-game unbeaten streak if you don't know what you're doing. I think where he lost everybody was he was just asking them to do too much, and they didn't understand what he wanted them to do. Sammy gives Arteta an 8. Good choice to try and hold the lead late when everybody was knackered. Yeah, did you notice that? Arteta, when Everton brought up the extra striker and went 3 strikers up front, he brought on Guendouzi, so we had 3 holding midfielders, and he gave him that role where he could help press all over the field. So it was almost as if they nullified the fact that Everton had 3 strikers. Tony, you go in. Arteta.
10.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you.
Guys, you know, we're the only unbeaten team this decade.
In Europe. Yeah, in Europe.
This decade. This decade.
You're like the US. Europe is the world when it comes to soccer. Or football, as we call it. Just like baseball is the World Series when there's only American teams playing.
Yeah. World Series. World champions, only in America. Yeah, Tony, I've given him a 9. Adrian's gone for an 8, but he felt he could have brought Terry on earlier. I think so. I think there was a stretch where we started to be a bit leggy, but that's because we were working so hard. If you listen to the commentary on Sky, Arteta said that after using up the substitute on Klasnach, he was stuck in a position because Arteta said he had 4 players that came up to him on the sideline and said they've got cramp. So it made it very difficult for Arteta because he had 4 guys who were cramping up and he only had 2 substitutions. So he had to be very careful with what he did. And, making them too early, as we know, is a big error. But I thought it was very, very difficult. And the Kayan, again, 3 games in 7 days, fatigue and tiredness, and the long trip to Greece. Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one, guys. It's a really tough one. And I thought Arteta did well. Any closing arguments, guys, with the player ratings?
Okay, none for me. I mean, I think, as you said, we all have our perspective as to how we saw the game.
Yeah.
Our view as to what the ratings are. It's our best objective process that we can provide. And I thought overall the ratings were fair for most people.
Okay, so Bertram and Tony, I just want to get your reaction on the Olympiakos win last week. I've already uploaded my video on YouTube, so if you guys want to hear what I thought about it, check it out. I think it's got over 2,000 views already on it, so whoa, yeah, that went really well, that upload. Bertram, what did you think of the Olympiakos reactions? And guys in the chat as well, what did you think of our win away from home against Olympiakos?
I didn't see the game. I only saw highlights of the game. But I think it just, look, we have won 3 games in a week, or a week and a day. It shows a lot about the team in terms of how positive they're feeling. When we hear the players talking, they talk about Arteta's sort of man management, how he engages them, how he sort of positions them and helps them. So I think people are feeling much more confident, especially players like Mustafi about themselves and Xhaka about how they're doing. And it's great to win away from home. Olympiakos is a tough team to play with from home. They've given us trouble in the past. Hopefully we can, not giving them a goal is great. And they actually had chances. I mean, the highlights I saw, they had a couple of very good chances in the first half. But we won. It's a very good victory. Hopefully we can win at home and move forward to the last 8.
Excellent. Tony, what's your thoughts on the Olympiakos win?
Yeah, I mean, you got to take into context the way this team have performed at home in this entire season. Their Champions League results have been very good in Greece. They're top of their table. They're a very tough team to beat, and we're one of very few teams, if any other, that have beaten them in their home stadium. It comes down to this word, resilience. Mikel Arteta has managed in his short 2 months to establish a resistancy and a combativeness within our team that makes us now formidable for teams to face. And, I cannot praise this guy high enough. This is why I gave him a 10, because you have to consider that he's playing back-to-back games. He had a short 2-week break where he could take the boys away and work on some stuff, and they've come back with a renewed vigor. and we had our first 4-0 win in 10 years. You know, whatever it was, 2015 since we had a 4-0 win. It's 5 years, sorry. And then we play another game 3 days later, and we win in a very hostile place. And then we come home and we play a team with a very good manager and you know, who've had a long rest to prepare, and we win again.
Yeah.
And so I just can't help but say, you know, the Olympiakos result shows our resilience and our ability to create from adversity. You know, again, players playing out of position, again, players playing, you know, outside of their normal realm of capabilities. You know, Mustafi, another fantastic performance in Greece. Xhaka, another fantastic performance in Greece. Saka, another assist in Greece. You know, it's just, you know, performance after performance after performance, individually, collectively, we're doing such great things at the moment. And I don't want to, you know, seem like, you know, okay, we're not playing at Liverpool level, we're not Barcelona, we're not Bayern Munich, but I cannot help but be encouraged by what I've seen so far and feel that in time, this guy's going to make us a very, very good team that will be up there with some of the greats in Europe right now.
I totally agree. He hasn't even started spending yet. And guys in the chat, don't worry. We are going to try to finish in the next 10 minutes so you can go and watch Match of the Day. I want to go and watch Match of the Day. You want to go and watch Match of the Day. So don't worry. I've got you on low-key. So I just want to find out now, guys, and guys in the chat as well, where do you think Arsenal can now finish in the league? Do you think fifth spot is on? Do you think fourth spot is on? What would be your realistic goal for this year? Bertram, you go ahead, man.
I think fifth is going to be hard to finish fourth. I think Tottenham is stuttering. They have no forwards to score a goal.
Tottenham done. They're dead. They're done.
I wouldn't say they're dead, but they're on their last leg. Sheffield has overachieved. So I don't think they'll finish fifth. I think they'll catch up to them eventually by the end of the year. I think it's interesting. Everton, I still think, is going to be in the mix. I think they're a very good team. They played away from home today and they look very, very good. Wolves are going to be in the mix. They're a very good team. They're tearing up the Europa League. They've drawn a lot of games like we have, but they're also playing well. So if you look at the Man U has improved. Fernandes made them a much better team. He's very creative, and he's becoming a leader on their team. And they needed that impetus, and they now have it. So if you look at I think Leicester and City and Liverpool are gone. I don't think any of the other teams will catch them. So there are two positions. I think fourth, we're 7 points out. It's a little bit challenging to get there. But I think fifth is achievable. And if City does get the ban, as is being indicated, then we have a chance to make it fifth. So I think fifth is the best we can hope for.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Kayan has said fourth. JK has said fifth. Oh, it says we're not getting fifth. Oh, wow. So, JK, you're saying sixth or seventh. Oh, come on. That's harsh, man. But if that's what you're saying, that's what you're saying, bro. Fifth from James and above United. Totally agree. 18 is saying fourth. Sammy is saying sixth or fifth. If we get sixth by 1 point off that course, that's the Arsenal way, of course. Vince is going for fifth. And Ebony, two halves. Where is that? Is that fifth or sixth, Ebony? Or fourth? Vincey, sixth. Okay. Well, I mean, Tony, talk to me. Where do you think we're going to finish?
I mean, what you have to say is the teams above us, it's theirs to lose. You know, we could go unbeaten for the rest of the season, and obviously that would mean we'd be taking points from teams above us. However, some of those teams you've got to look at and say, you know, are they in the ascendancy? You know, Chelsea, they're off and on. You know, Man United, they're off and on. Obviously, they're short of at the moment.
Okay, with Man United, I just want to say Man United have got Everton away at Goodison Park. Yeah, and after that, they've got Manchester City at home. So Man United, what are we, 4 points away from them? So Man United, in the next 2 games, Man United, well, that's all I'm saying for Man United. Yeah, go on.
Yeah,
we still
so,
have
I mean,
City, Liverpool.
I look at
City is postponed. It's postponed.
But I'm just saying, it coming up before the end of the season, we're going to have those teams to play.
Yeah, go on, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I look at a team like Wolves. Wolves are on fire. Wolves are on fire. They are literally the most dangerous team outside of Liverpool right now in the Premier League. So you wouldn't want to write them off and say, you know, it's going to be easy to go past Wolves. I mean, you know, they've got points in a bag. They're 2 points ahead of us. Sheffield United, you do feel that they will at some point fall away from what has been a fantastic season so far for them. So I think 5th would be a reasonable expectation.
Yeah,
and I think that gets.
I have to agree with you. Looking at the schedule, I think 5th is our target. And I definitely, I believe that Manchester City are going to get fined. And even if they appeal it, the best chance they hope for is that it gets cut in half, which still means they miss a year. So I'm not really worried about where they are at the moment. We've got James is saying we have a tough run in towards the end of the season. Wolves, Spurs, City, and Liverpool, but I think it would be about 2 things really. Us taking care of what we're doing. I mean, you've got to think. Look how we have been playing lately. We look like we can give anybody a good game, and I can't wait to see us play some tough teams. I can't wait to see Arteta go against Man City. I really can't. What's that game going to be like? We're going to be so up for that game. I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see what happens in that game. We're going to be so up for it. And I think Eben again top 5. I think 5th is our target. I don't think anybody. I think Chelsea is a bit of an arse. It's in Chelsea's hands. We still have 11 games to go. Yeah, a lot can happen in that time. So listen, let's move on because we're nearly finished, guys. We just need to talk about Bukayo Saka's contract. Bertram, you go. You
sign the thing.
No, I think he's being smart actually. So Hudson-Odoi delayed his contract signing until his last year and ended up getting between 160 and 200,000 a year. If I'm Saka, I'm not signing a contract. I'm going to my last year. You pay me my sign-on fee. I'm making $3,000, and people are saying, "Well, you're going from 3 to 30,000." That's not cut it for me. Most players in the team make up 100,000 a year. There is no way I'm Saka having almost double digits in assists for the year, playing well, just 18, a value and an asset to you. I'm going to take $30,000 a year. If I'm not getting 100 plus, I'm not signing.
Yeah, you know what? This is a business. You're 100% right. And people, young players, go to teams and sign huge contracts. Now, Tony, let me get your opinion, Tony. While you're doing that, I'm actually going to look up Mbappe and see how much he gets paid by PSG because I'm not sure. I think it's 300,000 euros a week. I'm going to check.
I think it's 3 something.
Yeah, I think I'm going to check.
My feeling is that, listen, you know, you and I are both big fans of the structures in place in US sport. You know, the transfer caps, the salary caps, the way in which rookie salaries are worked out, so that the player doesn't get all of his money straight away, and he gets it at the midpoint of his contract, as opposed to getting huge money at the beginning. I'm in favor of that. I just think there needs to be some common sense put into place. But alas, that's not going to happen in football. That's just not going to happen. So he's an asset that we just have to secure no matter what. Does it mean he gets 100 grand a year, a week? If he gets close to it, if he's on 90 grand, which I've seen a lot of players who are not even in his stratosphere in terms of quality of play, getting 90 grand. Yeah, I think Mustafi's on 90 grand, and you just go, nah, sorry, you have to pay him that money. And it's really weird because there's so much talk now in the US football about will Dallas Cowboys pay Dak Prescott the full amount. There's so many similarities in terms of what players are demanding and what they're getting now across the board in sport, because player power is becoming more and more important.
Yeah, because it's positional. So take, for instance, Dan Prescott, they are going to sign him. It would be stupid if they don't. We know that because Russell Wilson signed a $140 million deal for Seattle Seahawks. But where it's going wrong in the NFL is they're not paying running backs. That's where it's going wrong. Teams are letting running backs go. We've seen what's happened with LeVar Bell. We're now seeing what's happening with them in free agency this year, where they're not even bothering to pay them. In fact, they're not even saying franchise tag them. They're saying transitional, because they want to see what other teams are going to give them, because no one's paying running backs. People are taking them running backs off the street, and they're doing a great job. Look what Adrian Peterson's doing for the Redskins. But I digress. I said that I would look at Mbappe, and Mbappe is actually on 17.5 million euros a year, which equates to about 300, about in British pounds, about 280 grand a week. I don't know. I know Saka's agent might be. They're talking to Saka about a lot of things. Remember, he hasn't even tied down whether he wants to play for Nigeria or the English international team. He ain't even done that yet. This guy is taking his hands off everything, and he's just letting it flow and see what happens, which is what Bertram's saying. Bertram, are you his agent? He's doing the right thing. And if I was in his position...
It's a short career. You maximize your earning potential.
Yeah.
And if I'm him, there's no way I'm signing the contract. Now, I want him to stay with us, and I'd love for him to stay with us. But the more you run the contract down, the more money you make. Ramsey got $400,000 a year with the Juventus. That says it all.
Yeah. So listen, that's it, guys. Match of the day has probably started. So we're going to end the stream, and I want to thank everybody in the forum and in the chat room. It's always a pleasure. It's brilliant when you guys really make the stream for me, because you're so interactive, and that's what 101 is. 101. Even the meaning of the word 101 is just about everybody. It's about all of us, and that's the reason why we call it Arsenal 101. Big shout out to Jay Haywood for that. And listen, big thanks to the panel as well. Thanks to Bertram. Thanks to Tony. I always say at this point, where can we find you, so that everybody in the chat room will be able to connect with you guys on Twitter or Facebook. Bertram is in our forums on 101. And let me just get this off the screen so you can see. Here we are. And that's Tony's Twitter handle. So if you want to find him on Twitter, that's where he is. That's where my Twitter handle is, and that's the 101 Twitter, of course. But I want to thank everybody. And listen, that is now 10 games unbeaten. It's 3 wins in our last 4 games, and we've finally beaten a team in the top half of the table, which we haven't been able to do for a long time. Guys, Bertram, Tony, any closing arguments?
Yeah, I love the winning streak to continue. I don't want to draw games. You either win or you lose. 2 draws is 2 points. A win and a loss is 3 points. Yeah, you're drawn 13. We don't need to draw any more games.
Excellent. Tony?
Big up Mikel Arteta, my man Pepe. Presence, blood. Let's keep that going. Keep the peace. Love you guys. See you soon.
Excellent. Brilliant, guys. And Sammy and everybody who's subscribed to the channel because of this podcast, thank you very much. I promise you I will try my best to deliver the best video uploads that we can do, and just try to be as interactive with me as possible. I do get stopped outside the stadium. It's okay to take photos, and it's okay to just chat to me. I'm just a normal Arsenal fan, just like everybody else, and I love to engage in conversations with Arsenal fans. I know a lot of people are saying a few of the people on social media don't like talking to the fans. That's not me. Stop me, say hello, let me know who you are, and we'll have a chat. We might go into supporters club and have a beer or whatever. Come onto 101 forums. It's lively there every day. So listen, thanks everybody. Now let's run and go and watch match of the day and take in this greatness of our win today. See you guys later, man. Let's give the Pepe salute. We're out of there. Peace out, people. Nice one. Peace right out. Back at you. And as I always say, everybody, back your team.